He signed the divorce papers without reading them. He didn't know his wife had just inherited $25 billion that same morning. And when the truth came out in front of everyone, his entire world would collapse in seconds. Comment where you're watching from, and subscribe so you never miss a story like this. The courthouse lobby smelled like old coffee and regret. Iris Caldwell stood near the window, clutching a manila envelope against her ribs. Inside were divorce papers, still warm from being signed. Her husband, Victor Hale, stood across the room, checking his phone like she was already a memory. "Can we just finish this?" Victor said without looking up. Iris swallowed hard. "My mother's funeral was 3 days ago." Victor sighed, annoyed. "Vivienne lived a simple life, Iris. Let's not make this harder than it needs to be." Simple. The word stung. Her mother had been everything to her. Quiet, careful, always watching, always protecting. Victor finally looked at her. "I'm getting married," he said flatly. "Celeste and I are making it official next month." Across the parking lot, a sleek silver car waited. Celeste Morgan sat inside, scrolling through her phone. Confident. Polished. Everything Iris was told she wasn't. Iris's hands trembled as she took the papers. "You already had this planned." "Life doesn't wait," Victor replied. He turned and walked toward the exit. He didn't look back. Not once. Iris watched him go. She didn't cry. Her chest felt hollow, but her eyes stayed dry. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Ms. Caldwell." A smooth, professional voice spoke. "This is Graham Cross, legal counsel for the estate of Vivienne Caldwell." Iris's throat tightened. "Yes. I'm calling to inform you that your mother's will has been finalized. You are the sole heir." Iris leaned against the cold wall. "I don't understand." Graham paused. "Your mother was the founder of Caldwell Sovereign Holdings, one of the largest private wealth management firms in the world." Her heart pounded so loud she could barely hear him. "Her total estate," Graham continued, "is valued at approximately $25 billion. The world tilted. "That's impossible," Iris whispered. "My mother worked at a library. She took the bus." "She lived quietly by choice," Graham said gently. "She hid her identity to protect you." Iris closed her eyes. Suddenly, everything made sense. The private tutors who came to the house. The medical bills that never arrived. The way her mother always knew things before they happened. "When is the will reading?" Iris asked. "Tomorrow at 10 a.m., Graham replied. "And there's something else you should know." She held her breath. "Your husband's company," Graham said carefully. "Caldwell Sovereign recently acquired majority control of it." Iris's fingers went numb. Victor. Celeste. Everything they built. Everything they thought they owned. "Your presence is required," Graham finished. The call ended. Iris stood there in the empty courthouse hallway. Outside, Victor laughed as Celeste stepped out of the car and kissed him. He looked relieved. Free. Victorious. He had no idea that the woman he just abandoned now controlled his entire future. And tomorrow, when the will was read aloud, everything he thought he knew would shatter. But what happened next would break him in ways he never saw coming. Iris didn't sleep that night. She sat in the small apartment she once shared with Victor, staring at the divorce papers on the table. The silence pressed against her ears. Only the hum of the refrigerator kept her company. $25 billion. The number felt unreal. Like a story about someone else's life. Her mother, Vivienne Caldwell, had lived like a ghost. No designer clothes. No expensive dinners. Just quiet strength wrapped in worn cardigans and gentle smiles. She was hiding me, Iris realized. From the world. From people like Victor. At dawn, a black sedan pulled up outside. The driver opened the door without a word. Iris climbed in. They drove through the city in silence. The law firm sat on the top floor of a glass tower overlooking the harbor. Inside, Everything smelled like leather and power. Graham Cross met her in the lobby. He was older than she expected, with silver hair and kind eyes. "You look just like her," he said softly. They entered a conference room. A long table stretched across the center. Lawyers sat in tailored suits. Trustees whispered to each other. One chair sat empty at the head of the table. "For you," Graham said. Iris sat down. Her hands felt cold. Graham opened a thick folder. Vivienne Caldwell left very specific instructions. He slid documents across the table. Real estate portfolios. Investment funds. Technology companies. Medical research facilities. Iris's breath caught as she turned each page. "She never wanted attention," Graham continued. "She believed real power works best when it stays invisible." Iris nodded slowly. "I just want peace." Graham smiled. "That's entirely your choice." Across town, Victor was having the best morning of his life. He sat in Celeste's corner office, feet propped on the desk, coffee in hand. "Once the divorce is finalized," Celeste said, pouring herself tea, "the board will officially bring you in as COO." Victor grinned. "I knew leaving her was the right call." Celeste leaned back in her chair. "There's just one small thing." He raised an eyebrow. "We have new investors," she said. "Very private. Very powerful. They bought controlling shares last quarter." Victor shrugged. "As long as they stay out of our way." Celeste's smile flickered. "They won't interfere." Back at the law firm, Graham handed Iris a final document. "The official reading is at noon," he said. "Several parties have requested to attend." Iris frowned. "Who?" Graham hesitated. "Your former husband. And his fiancée." Iris's stomach dropped. "They asked to be there." "They believe they may have a stake in certain holdings," Graham explained carefully. Iris stared at the table. She could walk away. Take the money. Disappear forever. But then she remembered Victor's face at the courthouse. The way he dismissed her mother. The way he dismissed her. "I'll attend," she said quietly. At noon, the room filled. Victor walked in with Celeste on his arm. She wore a cream dress that probably cost more than Iris's entire wardrobe. Victor spotted Iris and froze mid-step. She looked different. Straighter. Calmer. Stronger. "Why is she here?" Victor whispered to Celeste. Celeste frowned. "I have no idea." They sat across from Iris. The air felt tight. Graham stood at the head of the table. "We are here to read the final will and testament of Vivienne Caldwell." Victor barely listened. He was too busy staring at Iris. She didn't look broken. She didn't look abandoned. She looked ready. Graham began to read. Each sentence made the room quieter. When he reached the final page, Graham looked directly at Iris. "To my daughter, Iris Caldwell," he read aloud, "I leave everything." The room went silent. Victor's smile disappeared. Celeste's hand tightened on his arm. Graham continued. "All assets, properties, holdings, and controlling interests valued at $25 billion belong solely to her." Victor's face went white. His hands started shaking. Because in that moment, he understood. He hadn't just left his wife. He had walked away from everything. And now, she held all the power. Little did he know, his nightmare was only beginning. Victor felt his throat close. $25 billion. The words repeated in his head like a siren. "That's not possible," he stammered. Her mother lived in a tiny house. She clipped coupons. Graham closed the folder calmly. Vivienne Caldwell chose simplicity. Her wealth was private by design. Celeste's confident smile cracked. She leaned toward Victor, whispering harshly, "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know," Victor said, voice shaking. Iris sat quietly, hands folded. She didn't gloat. She didn't speak. She just existed, calm and unmovable. Graham continued. Ms. Caldwell is now the sole decision-maker for all Caldwell Sovereign assets. Victor's stomach dropped. Caldwell Sovereign. The name hit him like a freight train. He turned slowly to Celeste. You said we had new investors. Celeste's lips pressed into a thin line. I didn't know it was her. Iris finally looked up. My mother stayed hidden so I could live a normal life, she said softly. So I could see people for who they really are. Victor laughed nervously. Iris, listen. This doesn't change anything between us. She met his eyes. It changes everything. The meeting ended. Lawyers shook hands. Papers were gathered. Victor stood too fast, his chair scraping loudly. Iris, he said, rushing toward her. Please. We need to talk. Celeste grabbed his arm. Victor, what are you doing? He pulled away. Just give me 1 minute. Iris stood slowly. 1 minute, she agreed. They stepped into the hallway. Victor ran his hands through his hair. I didn't know. If I had known. You would have stayed, she interrupted gently. Yes, he said desperately. Of course. Iris nodded once. That's exactly why I'm glad you didn't know. He stared at her, confused. You loved comfort, Victor, she said. Not me. Not commitment. Just comfort. I made a mistake, Victor whispered. You made a choice, Iris replied. She turned and walked back into the room. Celeste was waiting, arms crossed. This changes things, Celeste said sharply. You can't just walk away from me now. Victor looked at her, then at Iris. For the first time, neither future felt secure. That afternoon, emails moved quietly. Boards were notified. Contracts were reviewed. Iris sat in a private office Graham arranged for her. I don't want revenge, Iris said. I want clarity. Graham nodded. What would you like to do? She took a breath. Review Victor's company. No special treatment. Graham's face remained neutral. Understood. Across the city, Victor sat at his desk. An email notification appeared. Subject: immediate board review. His blood ran cold. Minutes later, Celeste stormed into his office. What did you do? I didn't do anything, Victor said weakly. She laughed bitterly. She did. By evening, Celeste was called into an emergency board meeting. By midnight, she was removed as CEO. Security escorted her out. Victor watched from his desk. She didn't look at him once. His phone buzzed. A message from Iris. This is business, not anger. Victor stared at the screen. For the first time, he understood something crushing. Iris didn't need to yell. She didn't need to embarrass him. All she had to do was stop protecting him. And once she did, everything fell apart on its own. The fall was quiet. No headlines. No public drama. Just doors closing, one by one. The next morning, Victor's key card didn't work. He stood at the glass entrance, swiping again and again. The light stayed red. Security approached. Sir, your access has been revoked. There must be a mistake, Victor said. There's no mistake, the guard replied. You've been terminated. 3 days later, Victor received a formal letter. He arrived at Caldwell Sovereign's headquarters wearing his best suit. Inside the boardroom, Iris sat at the head of the table. Calm. Professional. Untouchable. Victor, she said. Please sit. He obeyed. We've reviewed your role, Iris continued. Your position is no longer needed. His hands trembled. Iris, please. I can fix this. She looked at him with soft eyes. I'm not here to fix you. I'm here to protect myself. He swallowed. I loved you. Iris leaned forward slightly. No. You loved what you thought I was worth. She slid a document across the table. Severance terms. Minimal. Fair. Final. Victor signed because he had no choice. That night, he packed his apartment. The furniture stayed. He slept on a friend's couch, then a motel. His phone stopped ringing. The world moved on. Across the city, Iris stood on her balcony, watching the lights below. She didn't feel proud. She felt free. For the first time in her life, she didn't have to hide. She had learned what her mother knew all along. Power doesn't need to shout. It just needs to stop apologizing. Iris didn't destroy Victor. She simply stepped into the life she was always meant to live. And once she did, everything else fell into place. If this story touched something in you, don't just scroll past. Like this video if you believe quiet strength beats loud revenge. Subscribe if you want more stories where karma arrives calmly but cuts deep. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven Victor, or walked away like Iris did? Your answer might change someone's life today.